Hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our last session of the day. This topic will be on the changing landscape of support analytics, and this is in partnership with eClerx Digital. And I'm pleased to welcome our speaker. We have Ashwini Peraswamy with us, and she is the manager of eClerx Analytics Consulting Practice in the UK. So with that, I will turn it over to you now to get us started.
Thank you, Selma. Hi, everyone. This is Ashwini Peraswamy, and I'm based out of London. I work for eClerx Digital. I've spent about 12 years in analytics consulting for various clients across in the US and UK. I'm very excited to be dialing in from London. It's a very chilly winter evening here. I'm very excited to be dialing in and talking to all of you about customer support analytics and how it's changing over the years. So, quick company introduction before we get started. eClerx, we're leaders in innovative business process management, change management, data-driven insights and advanced analytics powered by subject matter experts and smart automation. We are located in multiple offices across globally and across multiple locations. The industries that we serve, apart from multiple others, are financial services, luxury brands, retail, e-tail, high-tech. So today on the topic, again, we're going to be talking about customer support analytics, how is analytics changing, focus on 2-3 main trends, and also talk through some of the use case examples in the work that we've done till date. So to start with, again, to define customer support, we're talking about the function which looks at when customers call in with specific issues, how do we service them? And how is it that we not only make it useful in resolving the issue, but also looking at getting the most optimal resolution to each customer. So before we get into talking through trends of customer support analytics, I want to start with, first of all, talking about why is customer service important in the first place. So let's get into a quick poll. So X% of those who received a great customer experience were likely to repurchase with the same company. So let's look at, amongst the audience again, let's look at what percentage do you think are the likely repurchases, just based on a great customer experience. Just waiting for some more results to come in. Yeah. It's pretty much right. So most of you have, let me just get the results out. Yeah, most of us are looking at 80 to 90%. That's exactly the right answer. In fact, if you look at the correct number, it's about 86%. So 86% of those who received a great customer experience are likely to repurchase from the same company. The audience is pretty much aligned to these numbers, but the fact is this number is very high. But it is also looking at impacting customer loyalty, which is, again, one of the main metrics associated with customer support. It's not only customer loyalty. We have to be honest that there are other angles to it. So, for example, sales. Now, if you look at customers who are willing to pay for a guaranteed good experience, it's about 55% of customers. We're also looking at it not only affects your sales or customer loyalty, we're looking at the other main metric of customer satisfaction. Like, for example, 77% of customers are most likely to recommend a brand just based on their customer service. So the reason why customer service is important and the fact that it is gaining so much importance is mainly to do with these customer metrics that it is likely to impact. So just talk through trends about how customer support is changing and how are these trends driving the change in the types of analytics that we do. So, for example, the first and foremost is, again, the ever-increasing customer expectations. The fact is, each one of us is a very, very tough customer. So when for example, if you're looking at customer service offered by, let's say, M&S, we're not looking at comparing them with Argos or an Aldi. We're looking at comparing them with the customer service that we've seen from Uber and Ocado. So the fact is, there's a lot of cross-industry comparisons, and that again raises the bar on customer expectations, which every company is expected to serve. That's one. The second one is again about, in terms of providing customer support, the number and types of channels. So the type of channels that any business is using to service customers is again changing. We're looking at chatbots, we're looking at Facebook Messenger for business. So if you look at the numbers that Facebook released recently, it's talking about businesses and people, they exchange about 8 billion messages over the messenger itself per month. And it's a very, very growing trajectory. So the number and types of channels are across changing. And again, with things like Alexa coming into picture, the way the service industry is going to change is very different. The third trend is again customer service, looking at the perception of customer service changing from a cost center to a profit center. So right now, most companies treat your customer support function as a cost center, looking at trying to reduce costs. But the fact is, if you leverage the strengths within the cost center, it has the potential to turn into a profit center and influence, like I said, the multiple metrics around sales and customer satisfaction. The fourth main trend is around just the availability of data. One is the availability of data, because we started to record multiple types and formats of data, but also the capability to process it and to look at actionable insights from each of it. That's a trend that's, again, from a customer support perspective, it's something that has changed and helped customer support analytics quite a bit. The fifth main trend is, again, investment in technology. Everybody's investing in technology, and it's increased the adoption of things like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, natural language processing. We're going to be talking about some of these examples as we go on in the presentation. So now, looking at these trends, this is where customer analytics is also moving. So if you look at just the type of customer support analytics that's happening right now, I'm going to talk through it through the analytical maturity model through different questions. So you can see here that as you move from descriptive to cognitive, the complexity of question increases. I'm going to talk through the first two buckets and then give you an idea of where customer support analytics is going. So let's take the bucket of understanding customer issues. So this is just from a descriptive perspective, this is very basic of asking questions such as, what are my most common customer queries? Is it technical? Is it to do with payment? That's the very high level, descriptive level of questions that we're solving using analytics. But as we move the needle across more complex analytics, let's say for inquisitive. So the same question around understanding customer issues, we're looking at, why aren't my assisted channels effective in deflection? Now we're trying to find out why are they not so effective? And then to move on to prescriptive, now we're looking at what kind of blockers should I use in order for me to deflect these customer queries that are coming in. That's prescriptive. When you're moving on to predictive, again, we're looking at things such as, of my customer base, can I predict how many of them are actually going to call me for a particular issue at this point in time? So that's the predictive side of analytics. But we also include the fifth dimension. Most of you may be familiar with the DIPP framework, but we also included a fifth dimension, which is cognitive, which is the combination of man and machine, which is an application that we're seeing in customer support, which is again being adopted pretty rampantly. So here the question is around how to enable customers with accurate self-diagnosis. So how do I involve the customers so that we're able to diagnose the issue remotely and then bring them to an agent only when it's absolutely required. So that's the bucket of understanding of customer issues. I'll move on to sales. Again, we talked about how customer support can also look at influencing sales. So again, moving through the DIPP framework, we are looking at things like, one, what portion of traffic on the support pages have helped in conversion. That's very basic. You're looking at just understanding the influence of your customer support resources on sales itself. Now, when you move on, you want to look at do specific visits that, let's say, start the journey on customer service pages. Do they convert better compared to visits which started on my overall website? That's being inquisitive. But again, if you move on to prescriptive and predictive, we're looking at what kind of messages should I surface during the journey? So when somebody's on a support website, what are the messages that I should be surfacing to them? in order to make sure that if they have a sales intent, how do I convert them using my support resources? Now, in terms of predictive, we're looking at how fast can I provide the options, and what is the most optimal option that I provide to this particular customer so that they actually go on and convert in the sales process. Now, from a cognitive perspective, you're looking at, again, the options are multiple. We can think about things like how can a customer virtually experience something before they actually buy it. Now, that's the connection between sales and services. Since somebody's coming into services, they already have a relationship. They most likely have a relationship with the brand, or they are on the sales journey. So use of analytics in order to connect the dots between customer service and sales will be very useful. So that's how the customer support analytics is moving right now, and the complexity of questions that we're solving across the spectrum is designed. So now let's focus on some of the trends in customer support function itself. Some of them I did briefly touch upon. So let's talk through the top 10, and then we'll move on to details of 2 of these. So number 1 is the optimization of digital channels. So one, it's not only digital channels, again, it's the offline channels as well. So things such as what are the issues that are best serviced on digital versus things that are best serviced using a phone channel. So that's an ongoing trend. 2 is chatbots. Again, chatbots are everywhere. Most businesses are investing in it. We're only going to see the growth of this particular trend. 3rd is personalization. So personalization is, again, a trend not only within customer service, but also within marketing and sales. Everybody wants to create a personalized experience. We'll talk about details of personalization as well as application in this presentation. The 4th one is hybrid environments. So by hybrid environments, I mean ecosystems where, let's say, the machine takes over the first half of the interaction. So some things like your identification, verification. So is that something that a machine can do before you actually pass it on to a human agent? That's what I mean by a hybrid environment. This is, again, is being done by many companies where they are looking at not going completely automated and not leaving everything manual with an agent. So that's hybrid environments. The 5th one is omni-channel support. So this is, again, stemming in from the expectations of the consumer. So for example, if I'm somebody who is contacting a support channel through my phone, and then I go home and I want to log into my laptop, and then I still want the same experience. I want to pick up where I stopped in terms of getting my issue resolved. So that's, again, omni-channel support. 6 is self-service. Self-service is, again, from a customer's perspective. So what are the tools that we can supply to customers so that they're able to resolve their issues themselves without actually having to come in and get some help in terms of talking to an agent or a bot. The 7th trend is real-time coaching. So we're talking about things like when a customer is on phone with an agent and there's a system at the back end trying to coach him to tell him or her what the next best action is. So we're going to be talking about an example of this. But the fundamental idea is that when a customer is being engaged by an agent, what are the best options that you can produce to the customer in order for you to not only resolve the issue, but also to look at other options such as upselling or cross-selling to that particular customer. Automation is the 8th trend. Again, automation is use of RPAs everywhere in customer service. We're talking about things such as resolving customer issues, which are very, very process-oriented. How do you make it automated so that the customer service agents can focus on the much more complex ones? So that's the 8th trend. Some of these trends are, again, ongoing. We can see it. It will continue to be live threads over the years as well. 9th one is the behavioral routing. So things such as, based on the customer's behavior at this point in time and what I know about his past purchases, what are the best options that I can provide to this particular customer during this service interaction? That's behavioral routing. Or is there multiple paths that I can take him through in order for him to have a better outcome? The last one is the next best action. So it's related to the real-time coaching, where we're looking at customer agents not having to go through multiple sets of data, but rather be surfaced with 2 or 3 options that they can produce to the customer at that point in time. So there are a lot of things that we covered here in terms of the top analytics trends from the customer support function perspective. Now we'll get into a little more detail. So we'll go into details of two things. So we will go into details of personalization as well as next best action. I'll talk you through it with some examples of some industry examples as well as some draw from some of the projects that we've done in this particular in these two themes. So first, let's look at personalization in service. So again, personalization is just to align everybody on the definition. We're talking about presenting the right message to the right person at the right time. So just before we get into details, we need to talk about who's an audience for personalization. There are two types of people. So one of them is where your customer is unknown. So this is a person who's on your website. You don't know anything about them. This is the first time they've come into the website. And you absolutely have no knowledge of, has this person purchased, not purchased? Do we have any history on that? Nothing. So that's the customer unknown. The second group is, of course, the customer known, where you know something. The customer is logged in to your website and you know something such as what are the past orders that they've done, what are the type of orders, how much what is the purchasing spend of this particular customer. So these are the two types of audience. From personalizing, you can personalize for both groups. So even for a customer unknown or a known, you can do personalization for both. I'm going to talk through examples for both of them. Of course, in terms of difficulty, in a customer unknown, it's called inbound personalization. That is, of course, much more difficult than when a customer is known, which is outbound personalization. So those are the two main themes that we will refer to. So just for your understanding, if you don't know anything about the person, we're going to call it inbound personalization. And if you know something about the person, we're going to call it outbound personalization. So let's move on to what are the building blocks of personalization. So there are three main things. One is behavioral. So you have information about your particular visitors based on just what they're doing on your website. So for example, somebody is coming on your site and this person is using specific keywords. That's information that you know already. Even if that person is not logged in, you still know that this person is doing something on your website, and you're able to gather some information based on the behavior patterns of what the person is doing on your website at this point in time. So that's the behavioral aspect. Now, the second thing you also have is the context. So what's so unique about the visitor right now? So for example, things like, is this person coming in from a deals website? So somebody who's coming in from, let's say, a website like Hot UK Deals here in the UK, you know that at least the context around that particular visit, you know that this person is most likely a deal seeker. Can I show him something different just because he's come, the context of where he is coming in from? So that's the context. The third main dimension is demographic. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if you're looking at, there'll be a vast majority of your traffic which you don't know anything about, but still, for the ones who are logged in and you have a lot of customer data around it, you can still do a lot more things just with this particular demographic. So the building blocks of personalization is, again, like I mentioned, behavioral. What is your visitor doing on the website right now? Context, what's so unique about this visitor? And demographic attributes of this particular visitor. So we'll work with these three elements to look at examples of what is personalization and how is it that you can actually go ahead and implement personalization for your business. So let's move on to talking through personalization in terms of degrees of complexity. So again, just like the DIPP framework, this is again, if you're moving from stage 1 to stage 4, how will you do it and what are the kind of things that you will do when you're starting to personalize? So the first basic things is, again, rule-based personalization. So irrespective of the channel that you choose to interact, rule-based is just looking at if somebody's coming in your website, you greet them with, let's say, the login, you greet them with a particular name. That's very, very basic rule-based personalization. That's the first thing. If you move the needle complexity a little bit, we're moving into cluster-based personalization. So here we're looking at things like, let's say, you are an apparel seller and you have a lot of different products that you sell. If somebody, let's say, is coming in from his referral domain, that is the site that he previously visited before he landed on your site, is a sports website. So what are the chances that you actually show him activewear rather than the generic pages that you show? So that's cluster-based personalization, because you're now looking at rules that apply to specific segments of customers. Now, when you move on to the third stage, that's when you're personalizing for the individual. That's when things become very, very interesting, because you're looking at one particular person, you're looking at the different dimensions, and you're collecting all the data that you know about this person from, let's say, sales, marketing, service touch points, anything that that person has interacted with you. And then you're trying to look at how do you service them best. That's the third level of personalization. The fourth one, and the most complex one, is again real-time personalization. We'll talk through some examples of those, but just for your understanding, if you're starting, maybe you will start from a rule-based personalization, move on to cluster, and then individual, and then real-time personalization. So those are the four main stages. Now I'll talk through how will personalization help. So there are three main ways in which personalization can help, not only your customer service, but also your sales and marketing functions. So first one is, again, increasing engagement on the website. So let's say somebody lands on your website and on your service pages specifically. I'll talk through examples with one example in each of these three groups. So for increasing engagement, the first one is about, let's say, progressive profiling. So what do you mean by progressive profiling? So somebody lands on your service pages and he or she is trying to put in a lot of keywords, trying to find something specific. What you can do at this point in time is to look at surfacing specific surveys to them. So for example, let's say you are a printer company and somebody's coming in trying to looking through multiple products. So what you can do is surface things such as, hi, are you looking to buy a new printer? Can you help me understand what is the level of usage? So depending on what that person inputs at that point in time, even if you don't know if that person is not logged in, you don't know anything about the person, you still have found some information that's going to help you. And what you can do is surface the relevant pages to them based on what you have learned from them at that point in time. So that's progressive profiling. The second, of course, benefit is, again, making it much more easy to discover all the content on your website. I'll talk through similar queries from a customer service perspective. So let's say somebody's coming in onto your support website and they're searching for things such as, my audio is not working based on your product. Now, what you can do is, one, you can continue to show pages which are, again, keyword related, specific to audio not working. Or if you know that the reason our audio is not working is mainly because they haven't updated their software. So you can choose to, based on what they're searching for, choose to direct them directly to their resolution rather than let them find it on their own. So that's what I mean by making it easy to discover. The third bucket, again, we talked about the influence of customer service on sales. So here we're thinking, let's look at an example of me as a shopper. I go into a retail store and I add in some things in my cart. I'm not too sure about the payment method, so I still have something in my cart, but I'm going back into their customer service pages and trying to find out details about my payment. But then I just decide to leave. But at that point in time, what inbound personalization can help you is to look at not only giving a prompt when somebody is trying to leave the website with items added in their cart. So at that point in time, when that person is trying to leave, you can look at introducing prompts which try to tell them, okay, you have something in your cart, it's worthwhile, it's worth so much. Is there something specific that you're looking at? Can we help you with? So that's the way to kind of increase the conversion on your website using your customer support pages. So again, three big buckets of why personalization is helpful: increase your engagement, make it much more easier for the customer to discover, and also increase conversion. In terms of, now that we understand basics of personalization and what are the types and ideas that you can use for personalization, where do you start? The most easiest way that we've seen our clients do it is, again, use design of experiments. So start very, very small, define clear outcomes of what is it that you want to achieve, what is the pain point that you're trying to solve, and what is the solution. It can be something as simple as introducing a new article or introducing callouts in a particular article. But again, go with testing, create your strict test and control groups, analyze the results, learn, and if it's working, apply and plan for wider rollout. So that's usually how we've seen most of our clients implement personalization. I'm going to close this section on personalization with two examples, one for inbound and one for outbound personalization. So an inbound personalization, again, to be clear, inbound personalization is again when we don't know anything about this particular customer and he's on the website. So this is an example of an e-commerce firm which sells activewear, running gear. The way they implemented inbound personalization is very interesting because they didn't start with wanting to implement personalization, but they started with identifying a business problem. So the business problem was that they were seeing a large number of returns, and they looked into data analysis to see is there any similarities across different customers. Are there any similarities between people who return these who have a high number of returns? So one similarity that we noticed was that they have a high order value. And further they probed into it, they realized that the reason for this high order value is the fact that multiple customers are adding the same shoe in different sizes. So that's something that even I have done. When I look at buying shoes online, I buy probably my size and one size before and after, and then just decide to give it back. So that was a business problem, and they realized this is being driven by customer behavior. Now we look at how do they use inbound personalization to solve it. So when somebody comes into the cart and they add the same shoe in different sizes, that's when they introduce a solution with inbound personalization. So a pop-up comes in which says, "Not sure which size to get. Our customer service team can help." And there is a direct call-out connection between being in the cart to the customer service exec, who again talks to them on the chat. And the way they helped them was to print out their sizes so that people are not confused when they actually buy shoes. So that's how they solved it. This is a great example of how inbound personalization is actually implemented and has helped them deal with this issue of high number of returns. I'll talk through the other example, which is the outbound personalization. This is an example from Sky here in UK. This is an email that they sent. The overall messaging around this email is that they are looking at introducing a show. But the fact is, one, they've sent it to me. So if you look at the first thing, the header has my name. It says, you've got an appointment. The second one is it's a personalized recommendation. So they're looking at viewing patterns. So this is a medical show that they were launching. And because I've seen other medical shows on Sky, they know they are sending this to me. So to make sure that I come back and actually this is something very relevant for me. Then the third very interesting thing about this example is that it's near real-time targeting. That means that the show was starting on the 10th of April, and this email also came in around afternoon around the 10th of April. And the fourth one is, again, there's a very, very clear call to action where it's asking me to download this particular show. So this is not an example from a service perspective, but again, this can be applied directly in the service field where we're looking at dealing with multiple number of issues, or even when we talked about being proactively reaching out to customers who we think might have a possible issue. So this is a great example of outbound email personalization and how it's actually implemented in real life. So that is the section covers the section on personalization. We'll move on to next theme, which is the next best action. So by next best action, what we mean is how do we empower the customer service agents? And if you have listened to some of the previous sessions, you will see that artificial intelligence was the buzzword. We talked about the first session about top marketing trends. AI was something referenced multiple times. Now, AI is nothing but you're letting a machine learn how to mimic a human action. So the fact is that there are so many buzzwords around us, but the truth is that none of this is new. There is AI all around us. So if you look at when you're getting notifications on your phone, that is also AI. When you look at examples such as your car is alerting you to tell you that you haven't worn your seatbelt, that is also AI. We've classified AI into 5 buckets. There's again no right or wrong way of doing it, but rather this is the most intuitive way that we have chosen to classify AI into different buckets. Now, in terms of application, again, customer support is a huge field of application for AI. Now, before we move on to it, I want to get into another poll. So this is again prediction numbers. It's a Gartner prediction. So by 2022, what percentage of customer-facing employees will consult an AI virtual support agent before they take a decision or process support? Yeah, just looking at the numbers, we have a very, very optimistic audience. About 43% have voted for 60 to 70. But the answer is actually around 40%. So Gartner has given a very conservative estimate of about 40%. So by 2022, 40% of customer-facing employees will actually consult an AI agent every day to take a decision or a process support. So the fact is it's growing, it's all around us, the applications are increasing. We have started to figure out how to actually use it for business applications. I want to talk to you about how it is actually going to be used in the customer support framework. So let's talk about how AI is going to be applied in call center operations. So typically, if you look at call center agents, they have a lot of first of all, the number of call center agents, there are multiple businesses which have huge number of call center agents supporting their customer service groups. They deal with multiple issues across different channels. We're talking about chat, voice, emails, and multiple times the KPIs that they look at is around issue resolution times as well as average handling times. So in many cases, when you look at having to drop the issue resolution times, we're looking at also increasing increasing the number of agents. Now, this being a typical scenario, what happens when AI comes into the picture? So let's look at a new solution framework. So I'm going to talk through in 5 different steps how AI is going to help you move from just data to actionable insights. So the first step being that one, you have your historical data. So you have your customer phone calls. You're looking at either speech being converted into text. The second step is again looking at these call logs being converted into unstructured data. So all these call logs are again converted into text. So this being your input parameters. You're looking at a cognitive engine which does the rest of the 3 steps. We're talking about the third step where you're looking at processing all this unstructured data and trying to identify what are the symptoms. So what is it that the customer is trying to tell his particular problem is? So we're looking at using natural language processing in order for you to identify these symptoms. And the beauty of this is that you're looking at using the language that the customer is using and trying to identify what are the symptoms that this particular customers are facing. That's the third stage. Now, in the fourth stage, using these particular symptoms, you're looking at using a prediction algorithm to kind of understand what are the main issues that this person is talking. So on the third stage, you identify the keywords that the customer is using in order for you to explain a particular issue. On the fourth stage, you're trying to classify, based on those keywords, you're trying to classify what is the particular issue that this person is calling you about. Now, depending on your business model, if you're looking at what is the type of resolution that you should provide? So what is the most optimal path? What is the best path for this particular customer's issue to be resolved, as well as followed up? That's the fifth stage. So all this 3, 4, and 5, again, is driven by AI and is helping you move from unstructured data that you have to a much more actionable insights. Now, the benefits of this is multiple. One, the accuracy levels go up because of obviously you're using machine to do it. But the fact is, the another thing that is also very important is that it is highly scalable. So you're looking at, if you are, let's say, acquiring another company and you having to increase the number of customer service agents, using such a cognitive engine will make you realize that you don't actually have to increase the number of agents, but rather you will have to run this algorithm over and over again in order for you to learn the issues and the resolutions and the most optimal resolutions associated with it. Now, the fifth stage is optimizing. So like I said, optimizing is again trying to figure out which is the best possible path. So it can also look at working with your constraints around what are the cost issues or time issues that you have. So that's the new solution framework with AI in the background. I'll go into a little bit more details of the solution framework and then end with an example of how we've actually implemented it. So we talked about the historical data, which is the customer phone calls. We're talking about converting speech into text. Now, what does this NLP algorithm actually do? So it looks at 4 main tasks. One is tokenization. So it's taking all your big chunks of data and breaking out into smaller pieces. So for example, paragraphs into particular sentences, or your sentences into specific words. So it's trying to scan for those symptoms that we talked about. The second one is around stemming. So it's looking at, if you think about words such as, it's trying to get to the root word. So for example, you're typing about happily, happiness, all that is trying to be associated with this root word, which is again happy. The third main thing is around bag of words. So again, this is trying to cut down all the noise around it by not taking care of the order and structure of words, but just trying to extract the main key element from the data. And the fourth one is stop words. So we're looking at all the extra words, which is, again, like I mentioned, noise in the data. So A and B, all this is being eliminated so that you can focus on the keywords, which will help you identify the symptoms that this particular customer is describing. So then we talked about the prediction algorithms, which is being used to identify the issue. So most of the work is being done by this NLP algorithms. As long as it identifies the symptoms, you will be able to identify what this particular issue is based on these symptoms itself. And once the symptom is identified, you're looking at your network optimization algorithms in order for you to figure out what is the next best or the next optimal solution. So again, this works with constraints that I talked about in terms of time. So depending on, let's say you don't have, this particular customer has a time constraint, you may not want to take the most optimal path, but rather the most easier path, which works for this customer. So it works with these constraints in mind and helps surface the most important resolution. Now, we'll also spend a little bit of time to talk about how this cognitive engine will actually help the customer service agents. So the way we're looking at is by using this cognitive engine to create a dashboard for agents. So if I'm a customer service agent and a particular customer is trying to contact me with a specific issue, what I will see in the background is intelligence around this particular customer, insights around what this particular customer has done, has interacted in the past, what are the purchases he's made, what are the different touch points that he's had, what is the type of issue that is being surfaced. Again, this is an output of the prediction algorithm that we talked about. And for a particular customer agent, he doesn't have to go back and look at multiple or do his own research to figure out what's really happening with the customer, but rather everything comes to him directly. And we're looking at a recommendation widget. So in the end, we're looking at what is it that what are the best options that I should give back to this customer. So for an agent, it's very simple. Everything happens in the background. He's surfaced with, let's say, what is the next best action that this you should do with respect to this customer and the issue that he's facing right now. Again, in terms of benefits, it hits all the notes in terms of the KPIs that you usually measure for customer service. So one, it looks at what is, again, the types of issue, the quality of issue resolution is going to be high, just because we're learning from data as we go by. The issue resolution time that we talked about earlier is going to be much, much lesser. And also you're going to see benefits on the first contact resolution. So it hits all the KPIs that are obviously essential for a customer support organization. Now, I'm going to quickly show a video which talks about one of our projects that we've done for a leading American cable and broadcasting company. Just quick background on the project. Again, this is an application where it's an interplay between RPA and machine learning. So this particular application, we're looking at, let's say we're working with the situation where there are a lot of tickets being raised every hour, and the customer service agents, again, have to go back and consult multiple databases to figure out if the network is down. They have to looking at least 40 different data points to figure out what the issue is. And each customer service agent was spending at least like a average handling time of 5 minutes on this. And we used a combination of both RPA as well as machine learning in order to solve it. So I'll do the demo and probably talk you through some of the key points as it goes on. So here we're looking at a particular, this is first RPAs coming in, and okay, I think I'm not able to see the video being played, but I'll just talk you through the details. So let's say there's a file here with the details of tickets, and RPA comes in and kind of picks up this file with the details of tickets. Next, it goes in and plugs it into the ticket number to different systems so that it can figure out how these, what are the different variables that it needs to collect for each customer. So what it's trying to figure out is the network down? Is it a planned outage, or is it something else that's wrong with this particular customer? So it goes back and looks at getting different data points for each of the customer. And then machine learning comes in and tries to identify what the issue is. And this keeps continuing until they figure out if the issue still exists with these open tickets. And so that's when machine learning hands over back to RPA, where it tries to close the tickets which are already solved, but keep the ones open and has to be handled by a customer service agent. Again, in terms of benefits, we have seen multiple benefits in terms of we saw productivity improvement of 40%. Again, like I mentioned, reduction in AHTs, as well as the fact that you could do this 24/7 and not wait for agent time to actually for this issue to be resolved. So that's all I had. Selma, I can take any questions. Actually, we may have an issue. I'm not able to hear any of the questions.
All right. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
That's correct. Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Can you share quickly some B2B personalization examples for us?
B2B, again, is a very different beast. We're dealing with, if you're looking at just being in the digital space, we're dealing with personalization in terms of how you actually service your customers. So what is it that you know about at that time? We've seen examples where for the bigger B2B customers, you create specific websites, just making sure that it aligns to the trends that they are seeing, that your customers are seeing right now. And again, like I mentioned, B2B customization it's definitely not very rampant, but we're seeing examples because, again, we figured out how to identify B2B customers and different stakeholders from a B2B customer visiting sites. So that's something that you can see a lot more development as we go on. But definitely B2C is much more ahead than B2B with respect to personalization.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And we have Roseanne that would like to know if you find chatbots that do they vary in effectiveness across different markets?
Yes, that's correct. In fact, chatbots, what we realize is that in many cases, people buy chatbots and they're trying to integrate it with the existing systems and trying to force it on to the customer base. But the fact is, you have to realize, is your customer base ready for it? So the first thing to do is the chatbot, the solution that you buy should actually align itself to your customer base and not the other way around. So that's a mistake that we've seen that's continuously happening across different industries. It again depends on the demographic of your customers as well as are they open to adoption of these technologies.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Ashwini. We had a couple more questions come in, but what I'll do is I'll provide that to your team and we can figure out a plan to connect and address those offline. I know a lot of people were grateful for all of the information you shared, and I just wanted to remind them that your slides are available in the handouts area. So that's where you see these blue widgets, and it's the third one from the right. And we'll also have the presentation materials available in our presentation center, and right after we conclude our webcast, this presentation will be available on demand. So thank you so much again for your time, for sharing your information, and of course thank you to our audience. I think many of them were with me the entire day, so I appreciate your company, and I hope to see you tomorrow. So we'll kick off our second day with our opening keynote presentation about AI at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.